It's July the 5th, 2022, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a PvP Padawan.
Hello, I'm TreesapJake, and I'm a shaman enthusiast.
I'm Dopamine, and I play Arena.
Yeah, so with us today, which is awesome, and we're really excited, we've got Dopamine here, who is a rank 1 mage, played in the AWC with Palamore, Whaler, and Nozon. First time in the AWC scene as well with his team, which is really fantastic. So yeah, I mean, Dopamine, tell us about yourself, dude.
Yeah, so I've been playing this game off and on for a long time, as I'm sure most of us have. I started playing at the very tail end of vanilla, like 2006. I was 5 years old. I played all the way up to MOP. I quit the first season of WoD, played the last two, quit all of Legion, most of BFA, and I've been back for Shadowlands. And since the start of Shadowlands, basically, I've just been pushing for rank 1, and with the goal really of winning BlizzCon. And I've taken my first step, but still got quite a ways to go.
Wow. That's a heck of a career.
Yeah, I mean,
I have to ask, I ask the question every time, but what made you switch over from just playing to trying to go that super competitive ladder style?
it's a good question. I'm a hyper competitive person naturally. That's just sort of who I am.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I've always just been sort of infatuated with proving myself, especially when I'm in the role of the underdog. And I think that I'm also a very numerical person. I'm very like the way my brain works is very like focused around ranking things, and a
Okay.
ladder, it sort of fulfills both of those, desires to want to prove yourself and then having a number attached to it as well. It really felt
Yeah.
like a good fit for me, and that was sort of what sparked me to start pushing on the ladder.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like it. And I have other questions, but I want to save those because we're going to get right into that. Like, we're going to get right into this whole, like, what made you decide to go from just playing the game, not only just going, pushing yourself on the ladder, but also trying to do super competitive and go professional, really. So,
Yeah.
really looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I do have one little question though, and only because we're talking about this offline. So you live on a farm, and you
I
said
do.
your internet's a little flaky sometimes.
No, it's really bad a lot of the time, like really bad. It's to the point to people who are familiar with me. It's literally like a meme. I mean, I can type in chat real quick some of my like emotes, like this one. I have a what you might call a friendly infestation of frogs. Like it's like half the time I'll be queuing and a frog will just jump down because I live like there's like a pond on my property, and then when I'm queuing I'll be lagging out all the time. Like even
Wow.
right now I
Yeah.
have 137 ms, and that's as good as it gets, you know. And
Wow.
on bad days, there's pictures on my Twitter where I have like 20,000 ping on tournament days. It just happens.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
So
It's rough. It's rough. But
that's
I
harsh.
want to win so bad. I just was like, I don't care what, I have to push through. People have different routes, and living on a farm with bad internet's just going to be a part of my journey.
Yeah.
Dopamine, do you want to know something really interesting? I know we talked offline as well about the things that we have similar. I also live on a farm, and I used to have,
No way,
yeah,
man.
I used to have
That's so
really
funny.
mental, right? And I used to have really bad internet until we dug it all out and put fiber in. So now I've got amazing internet. But
Oh my god, I need fiber, man. Don't
dude, I
talk to me
know
like
your
that.
pain. I know your pain is what I'm saying. It was awful playing WoW. In fact, actually, I got some of my highest rating with the worst internet ever. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I
I'll
always
tell
think.
you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think sort of in a weird way, having bad internet sort of prepared me for the frustration of pushing ladder, because it is really difficult when you don't have a strong foundation, because you have to learn a lot, and you have to really be willing to put down your ego to become the player that's necessary to reach the top of the ladder and then to make it to something like AWC. and all the frustration that a lot of the frustration that people would normally feel with that they would have to learn how to deal with. I felt that just in DCing when I'm playing at my highest rating ever. I just would DC over and over and over again, and I just having to deal with that, and then being able to master my emotions in the face of that, and just still stay focused on what I need to do to improve. It it was in a weird way, as much as it was a curse, it was also a blessing. But maybe that's just me being, every gray cloud has a silver lining.
That's super optimistic, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I genuinely felt that way as well in a BFA when I was dying to assassination rogues with full gushing wounds. That was
Yeah, gushing wounds is definitely a silver lining. Yep, I
yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely agree with that.
It's sort of like I'd be raging about the bad internet, but then that would always bring me so much joy.
Yeah, it's better than I think
Right.
what a lot of people do, which is they just rage at the game and then they start to
Yeah.
sort of feel like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
For me,
true.
it was always there's a third party. It's like, what can I do? Maybe in a more fair matchup, something would go differently. I just always tried to approach it with like, it's not the game's fault. It's what I can do in the game to change its
Mhm.
fault.
For real, for real.
So one other last question. Because you said that you basically skipped part of Legion, all of BFA. What was it
Mm.
like leaving WAD and then coming into Shadowlands gearing, and then the systems that we're faced with the board power and all that? What was that like for you?
Um, so I will say I did play parts of BFA
Okay.
and I did push on ladder. I got up to like 2900. So I
Okay.
wasn't like I didn't like not touch it. But I can tell you what I remember of WAD gearing. I was weird. Never was good at gearing, and I think a big reason that I started playing PvP was the accessibility of gearing. Like, I mean, from like
Hmm.
a young age, right? I never raided. I've never done a raid.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay.
yeah. Well, I never did until BFA, which is what I'm trying to lead into, which
Yeah.
Okay.
was leaving BFA. I was like, cool. I finally have like equal gear. I didn't play any of Legion besides like, casually I would do world quests. I
Okay.
was just focused on high school. And then BFA I came back and I realized you had to like do dungeons and raids. Like you had to do them. It wasn't optional. It wasn't cosmetic. It was like if you want to play arena, which I did, you
Hmm.
have to do this. And it was like, what, pardon my French, like what the hell is this, man? Like what is this? What is going on here? I didn't like it at all. But I did it. I was too addicted to, not
Yeah, if you want to be
do what it took.
competitive, you have to get best in slot, and best in slot comes
And,
from some PvE dungeon. So be it.
Exactly, exactly.
and
Yeah,
something I will say about that is that at least when you did all those dungeons, you were on the same gear level as everyone else. Like everyone did have like although you had to do a 15, everyone had the same Mythic Plus 15 gear.
True.
unless they got Titan Forged and then
Of
they had
course, yeah.
better gear, and
Of
you're like,
course,
well, hopefully my box has a Titan Forged voodoo
yeah.
doll, next week.
Exactly. I think they got rid of that by the last season, when obviously you had the
Maybe, yeah.
corruptions. Yeah,
I think you're right. I didn't play much of
Yeah,
the corrupted season, though I heard it was a fiasco.
it
it
was.
was.
It was. It
It
was
was
a
awesome.
fiesta as well. So,
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of boxes and Titan forging or not, actually, what have you guys been up to since our last show? I guess I'm going to start with Dopamine. So the last 2 weeks, what have you been up to?
It's a good question. I think 2 weeks ago now was when we just finished beating Powerman. It was our last day in circuit.
Yep.
Um, what a day that was, man.
You guys must have been on cloud
Since
nine.
then, been,
But I'm bummed.
yeah, definitely been on cloud nine. Since then, we've been mostly, well, my team was sort of talking. Well, the first thing we had to do is decide if we were going to remain a team,
Oh
because
yeah.
we went in for fun. We were not planning to, create if I could use the word, a titan in the scene.
Hmm.
I wanted to do that, but my partners were like, we're sort of here for fun. So we had to have that conversation and we decided to become a team. And then since then, we've sort of just been focusing on ladder, maybe picking up an alt comp, talking about that, sort of strategizing for the next AWC and getting wins out of the way. We pushed number one on ladder, I think a
Cool.
couple days ago. And then since then, we've just been grinding out wins to be rank one eligible. That's what we've been up to.
Nice. That sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
loot boxes. Anything good from the vault?
I geared all my characters. All my characters were max gear like at the very beginning of April. I took it very serious.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a big grinder.
No kidding.
I take it super serious. I did all the Korthia. I had full conduits last season before they even made the rifts a thing. I was like doing the Korthia grind on all my characters. I don't mess around.
Holy crap.
Um, yeah, and so basically my vaults have just been like tokens. I feel like Trade Prince Gallywix. I'm just holding on to tokens in the bank. Use them next season to get sockets.
Here's hoping that they're still for sale. That would be
Hoping, yeah, that would be
yeah.
definitely preferable.
Oh, and there's a little reminder in chat, something about a casting on a tournament.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I've been doing so many things. I also do have. I've obviously told you guys, but I have COVID, so I've been dealing with that. It made my brain a little foggy, but that made me forget. I did actually cast an Oasis tournament. It was a 1v1 tournament. I casted it alongside Party Pete and Lithra,
Yep.
wonderful people, and it was to raise money for the Trevor Project, I believe. Yeah, it was the Trevor Foundation, and we raised I think almost $1,000. It was like 900 something.
Wow,
It's
Something
amazing.
along those lines.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it was awesome for real. I really enjoyed it. So
Cool.
I've been jam packed busy doing so many more things than I'm used to.
Yeah. Wow. Jake, I gotta ask you, what have you been up to? And does it compare to anything that Dopamine just said?
I think that's sadly relative. I think I did some fun things. I wish I was casting for an Oasis tournament. That's something I will say. No, but not sadly. I went to Paris and Switzerland.
Yeah.
That's what I did. That's why I couldn't make the last.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, as I said, it's relative. Some people might think that's pretty boring, especially as I live, obviously being British, I'm just over the pond. I think if you live in America, it's kind of like, whoa, you've gone to Paris. Well, it's literally just a train ride for us. So
it's a train. You can take a train from
it's 3 hours.
From Britain to Paris. What?
London to Paris is 3 hours.
High speed
Forgive
train
my
goes,
ignorance.
goes under the straits.
That's
right?
crazy.
Yeah, under the Channel Tunnel. In the Channel Tunnel, it's called the Eurostar. It's very fun.
I always forget how small Europe is. You know what I mean? It's so compact.
It is.
Like you can't even take a train from LA to New York. There's not even a train that exists for that.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It's America's a big country.
Yeah.
Or fly, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I did. So I went to Paris. I went to Switzerland. I had a nice time. I forgot about WoW. I forgot about Arena. And then I came back and I was like itching to go. Like my fingers were sort of like, tingling. I was sort of like, just get me out there, get me into the game. And then I died to my
demo.
Yeah, well, actually, I played with a demo. I ran into an RMP and I died. So then it made me really sad. So there we go.
Some things never change.
Yeah, exactly.
I have two questions for you, Jake. One, when you're in Switzerland, did you stand on a hill and yell Ricola?
Okay.
And two, when you're in Paris, did anybody actually believe you were actually French when you tried to pawn yourself off as a French person?
You know this because I tweeted about it.
Yeah, I did.
So number one, I didn't stand on any hills. We were in Geneva, which is a beautiful place.
Yes.
As an FYI, it has a wonderful lake, stunning. It was 34 degrees, which is hot for me because I'm English and I'm used to 16. And it was sweltering. It was beautiful. Number two, no one believed that I was French. I actually had a conversation in French because I used to be semi-fluent. And but unfortunately, my girlfriend was behind me the whole time, just going, and it just like sort of every time I would be like, oh bonjour, like the usual stuff. She'd be like saying it in English behind me, and I didn't hear her. So they were like obviously very quick to speak English back to me, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
That's okay. I like to think that I could probably pawn myself off as a French person, but I'm sure my accent is bad enough that they'd probably still catch that I'm Canadian. But
Gerissar is a pretty like French name, I think. Sounds French to me. Maybe I'm crazy.
Really? I don't know. It was mostly random name generator from my first character I started. So,
I mean, if you put
an R to it.
If you put a French accent in, anything sounds French. Dopamine. Gerissar.
I don't know about TreesapJake. Oh, TreesapJake.
And it'd be like, I don't know, what would it be? It'd be it'd be TreesapJake. Again, there's the phrase.
Yeah, that would be the one. That would
Yeah.
change the tide on that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sadly, my name doesn't work, but you guys for sure.
Too
Anyway,
funny.
Gerissar, what have you been up to? That's an important question.
Honestly, just same old, logging on, doing auction house stuff, trying to grind out the Mythic Plus rating. Still trying to get. I'm having the worst luck. I love my guild, but I've just had some really bad luck trying to get on time when everybody else is online. So then I end up having to relegate to LFG, and I had the worst time just a few days ago. We're running it's 2 different dungeons running with LFG folks, almost completely. At best, I might have had one guildie on one of the runs, and the number of times that we had to turn around and grab ads that one of the LFG person had picked up just by running by. Like, I'm tanking, and then when it was bolstering week, so there's one where I went wide to grab a pack and tank and kill them before we came back to take care of some big boys, because I knew that if I grabbed them, we were going to get smoked because it was bolstering week, right? I already said that twice. And lo and behold, I was swung wide, grabbed them, and somebody went running right past and picked up 2 big boys, and I got smoked. The whole group wiped, and then the healer turned to me and said, "Hey, that was dumb. You shouldn't have picked them up." And I'm pretty sure it was him that actually picked them up. So anyway, that was my frustration, but whatever.
LFG, man.
Yeah,
That's it.
LFG. It's all good. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I made some mistakes, but yeah. Anyway, but other than that, I guess just getting ready for vacation. Summertime coming up here, so just trying to plan out some stuff. It was Canada Day weekend. I know in the States it was Independence Day yesterday, so long weekend for both countries in North America there. So
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Great Britain, for signing off and letting us actually be an independent country. Thank you.
Yeah. And as I speak for all British people, and obviously Britain for the last 500 years, you're welcome. That's
Touche.
But honestly, dude, I admire the fact that you can do Mythic Plus, because I struggle so much. After the BFA, I think I was just done. I think that was my quota for the rest of the time. I've tried so many times, but I think I can only do 2. And then I'm just sort of like, I'm down and out for like 3 weeks.
I do like the challenge of it. I guess the upside is that I didn't agree. So I wasn't competitive enough that I said I had to do Mythic Plus and BFA in order to be to have that most gear. So I just did PvP and just did randos in that, and recognized that I was going to face people that were wearing 15 plus gear and were smoking me, and so be it. But I didn't then turn around and decide to do something I didn't want to do. So I just didn't do it. So now in this iteration, I'm actually really enjoying it because I didn't do it at a time I didn't want to do it. Right. So
that's good.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Let's move into the Need, Green, and Pass and get rolling on this darn episode.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
Oh, man.
Hardest time clicking that. Oh, boy. All right, Need, Green, and Pass. Jake, you got it this week. So what's the scenario you're going to post with 3 options for us to pick?
Yeah, so obviously in this segment, one of us, obviously it's my chosen week this week, we have to decide on an option. We have to need, greed, and pass. 3 options, obviously I'm going to be deciding. So this week, seeing as we're talking about the AWC and we're speaking to Dopamine, I thought we'd talk about comps, which comps we're going up against, which ones I suppose, either would happily go up against, and that'd be the need, which one you'd be okay going into, that'd be the greed, and which one you'd just rather just not see at all, and that would be the pass. So I have chosen Rogue Mage Priest, of course, Ellie Shaman Demo Lock plus healer, obviously, as a Ellie Shaman main, and then Ret Warrior healer as that super annoying one. So those are the options. So I suppose the best thing for us to do is start with our guest, Dopamine. What do you think?
And so need, greed, and pass being like, what would I want to fight if I had the option?
Well, yeah. So if you had the option to, so pass being you wouldn't fight them. Need being sort of like, okay, yeah, I definitely would fight them. Greed being sort of like, I wouldn't mind fighting them. Like it's not like a sort of like it's like a 50-50 kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then
Do I
pass you
have
just get rid of.
Do I have to need one, greed one, and pass one, or can
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Okay, I will preface this with saying, well, okay, so there's two angles. It's like which is the most fun and which is the easiest. In terms of easiest, Ret War is the easiest for me. I'm a rogue mage player. In terms of most fun, rogue mage is the most fun. I practiced a lot, especially for AWC. I practiced a lot fighting rogue mage from the Pava rogue mage. But just straight up, I'd say need rogue mage priest, greed ret warrior healer, pass Ellie shaman demo lock.
Mhm.
Demo lock is really disruptive right now. Its damage is incredibly difficult to navigate through, and it's just tough. And then Ellie Shaman's having, short shear and having grounder, they're definitely, while they're very killable, they're pretty annoying to fight. So I'm gonna pass on that team.
Yeah, makes sense. Totally
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right.
Gerissar, what do you think? What do you choose?
This one's hard. I don't know. So, all right, I'll say to play against. I'll pick Ret Warrior. I think I understanding like it's just full out damage. I think it's very. I think it's very telltale, and it's easy to counter if you know what you're doing. So I'd say that. Then, I'm gonna have to agree and pass on Ellie Shaman Demo Lock, just because that's
Comp sounds so bad. I do
that's
not
so
want to
annoying.
Yeah.
And then so I'll agree on Rogue Mage Priest again. At least Rogue Mage Priest, you know exactly what you're going to be facing. You know exactly what they're going to do. It's telltale. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll need on Ret Warrior though.
Okay.
Probably
that makes
regret
sense.
that later.
When you queue into loads and loads of Ret Warriors that absolutely stuff you're facing.
Exactly. 1600 rating.
Awesome. So for myself, okay, so obviously I like same as you, Dopamine. Obviously, I'm coming at this with a different angle. I play Ellie Shaman Demo Lock. So yeah, that's obviously, I mean, as an Ellie Shaman main, what else would I play other than that? Maybe Thunder or something, but
Maybe
that's definitely
class.
yeah, yeah, maybe. But I think for me, I'm gonna need Rogue Mage Priest because I've queued into RMP the most, I think, probably on my Shaman, and I understand it to a degree on what I need to do as Shaman. So I definitely prefer that. I prefer that matchup out of these three. I'd probably greed the Ellie Shaman Demo Lock because obviously in a mirror, you've got to prove that you're the best. That just goes without saying. You know, you've got to come out on top. And then I'm going to pass on Ret Warrior because I've always disliked that comp in Shadowlands. It has been, I mean, ever since I got one shot by the old Divine Toll, I was like, must have been like sort of, yeah, I got one shot by it one time, and it was just like literally one ability, and that was it for me. That was the day I decided.
Man, I haven't fought a Divine Toll Ret Paladin in so long.
Yeah,
It has been so long.
That was season one, though. Like, obviously, that was before it got nerfed really hard. But
I forgot about that.
But you forget that it used to literally, if it was just you by yourself next to this Ret Paladin, that Divine Toll just came out, and those three hits would just rinse you. So
Yep.
yeah, that wasn't fun. So for me, I think Ret Warrior can get in the bin. So need Rogue Mage, greed Ellie Sham Demo, and then pass on the Ret Warrior.
It's actually funny because I've been seeing a lot of stuff in socials of people getting smoked by Blessing of Summer again. Just
that spell is so cheesy. It's fun though.
Of course it is. Well, I mean, so is Vesper. That's cheesy as crap.
Yeah. In the bin.
When you're at higher ratings, cheesy it gets a real bad rap, I think.
Yeah.
I like it. I like all ratings, whatever the cheese. I think it's fun, but I think a lot of the people that I used to look on with a certain amount of admiration when I would fight them, they would say everything was cheese that they didn't beat, and it was just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like everything that they lose to is basically Vespers Blessing of Summer, and
I
yeah, I
think
don't know, it gets a bad rep.
most people dislike losing to a one shot where they can't feel that they had any chance to counter to it.
React, yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a great point. Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest thing with Shadowlands. Is that, I played the game since vanilla. Obviously, I PvP since MOP, but it's never felt like this before to me in the same way that Shadowlands has. And I think a big part of that is, of course, like the stacking multipliers, but I think also the stat squish back down to level 60 may have a big factor in that. And the way that it feels like the one shots that come out. Kind of like they just feel very different to me than what they have always done. Like in every single season, I've felt like there are classes that have like rinsed other classes and been really strong, but it's never quite felt the same way to me. I don't know whether that's something that's felt across the board, but that's been the big difference for me, at least in Shadowlands, and that feeling like I felt like I have less control playing my character in that regard than I have done in previous expansions.
Yeah.
I think a big thing with this expansion is, and I don't see people talk about this enough, but the change to the nerf to the crit multiplier. I don't know how many people are even aware that they did this, but
Yep.
I think it was after MOP they made it so that when you hit a critical strike, instead of doubling the damage you did 1.5 times the damage you would have done had you not crit, and they reversed that in Shadowlands. So naturally,
Yes.
everything is just way faster.
Yeah.
Also, the versatility, the damage versatility bonus of the set bonus for PvP trinkets in the first 2 seasons, like that made the metas really fast.
Yeah.
And then you pair that on top of like the first season of every expansion is always going to be the fastest season because gear and the defensive value associated with gear is at its lowest point during the expansion. Like Sinful Season was a perfect storm for one shots, and you saw it if you play the ladder with Kyrian Rogue and Divine Toll Ret Paladin and Hunter and the Arcane Mage one shots. It was
Yep.
rampant.
It was a lot of fun, but it was also very painful. But
Yeah,
that ladder was super active. I mean, you lost and you're right back into queue and you're like right back into another match.
I liked it personally.
Yeah.
I think it was a nice change of pace from BFA, which is one of the slower expansions.
I agree. Actually, out of all of the seasons, I enjoyed season 1 the most. I had a really fun time playing RPGs too. Like in season 1, it was really active. The ladder was very active for RPGs.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because I know on NA this season has I don't know what your experience of it, Dopamine, has been. Obviously, you're at a much higher rating than I am, but it's the sort of the rating is very deflated on EU. Like not many people are queuing. It's been very strange.
I've heard that. So actually, the NA ladder is more active, to such a degree that, especially at higher ratings, a lot of the players who typically play on EU are actually now playing on NA.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of EU players that are playing on NA right now. I don't. It's. I think a part of it is EU is used to just having higher, and this is speculation on my part, but EU is used to having higher CR than NA. So it's like when they push higher rating, it's like they're the highest in the world. But
Yeah.
because of the weird bug at the beginning of the season where MMR didn't reset in NA, like we just had a big cushion for CR. And then now if like you want to be the highest rated player in the world, like you're gonna have to go to NA to do it.
Yeah.
Because on EU, I think the highest rated person is, I think it's Meh, right? He's like 3090 or something, maybe 3100.
It's just above. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean on NA it's CD's like 3350. It's absurd.
It's crazy. I mean, you queue 2-1, 2-2 MMR, and you're queuing into rank 1. So like most of the sort of like top rated guys are playing at 2-4, 2-5. And if you're just sort of like just run of the mill 2400 player in sort of regular season, it's sort of like sometimes that's quite hard. When you're like LFGing or whatever, and you queue into sort of like AWC competitors and winners at that rating, that can be quite. I mean, I love it because I mean, well, I don't know. I don't find it too demoralizing, but it can be. It's just hard. It's a very hard matchup. Like you're sort of kind of queuing into that because those guys should really be at a different rating, I suppose. But it's
I mean,
interesting.
yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a reason that MMR exists. It's called matchmaking rating for a
Yeah,
reason. Yeah, not an
exactly.
equal match necessarily when you're AWC versus run of the mill Glad.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right. I love it. I love the conversations. In the meantime, though, we should probably actually get into the news. Or not, sorry, the news, the events. Got ahead of myself.
Event news.
Yeah, let's talk about the upcoming news or the upcoming events. Man, oh man, I'm having a hard time. And yeah, here we go.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Oh my goodness, my tongue's not working all of a sudden. All right, yeah. So news or events. Man, oh man. So we got the typical Dalaran Gaming doing his 5v1 1v1s. So as always, keep an eye out for him over at twitter.com/Dalaran_rogue. Upcoming community events. The only one right now is the Oasis community event, which is happening next Monday, the 11th of July. And that's a Keystone race. So that's going to be fun. And also fundraising on that. So if you want to go check it out, they have, over on the Discord or on Twitter, you can find the information and sign up for it. So if I understand, that one is everybody starts with a 2 key. And then each group starts with a 2 key, and then it's how far and how fast you can push that in 4 hours. So, and then whoever has the highest key wins. So, should be a pretty good one. Obviously, going to be a little stuck
RNG.
to. Yeah, depends on what key you get, because some dungeons are definitely faster than others, and some you can pull better. This one's going to be interesting though, because it's Sanguine and Storming this week. So yeah, so there's opportunity for some Clown Fiesta for sure, but it'll be fun. And then we have the official Blizzard events. On actually this weekend coming up is the MDI Global Finals. Follow that is the AWC Global Finals, and then on the 23rd and the 24th of July is the AWC Cross Region Tournament. I know we've spoken to this before. That's where it's going to be all the teams from the grand finals are going to be playing on the tournament realm against each other. And if I understand, it's they're going to do like home and away games where it's going to be NA or EU servers, depending on. So an NA team could be playing on an EU server against an EU team, and same an EU team could be playing on an NA server with an NA team. So that's going to be like the home and away turf. So
yeah,
people are definitely going to be. Yeah, I like the idea. Using the ping as a disparity.
Equalizer, trying to level the playing fields.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough regardless, though. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah.
Not to jump the gun, because I know we're gonna talk about it, but a lot of the competitors are a little upset about this.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't be? It's good, but I mean, the prize pool isn't that big, right? I think it's
the same as the grand tournament.
No, I think it's like 64K. I'm pretty sure it's not the same.
Doesn't actually It's no, that's per cup. Oh, it's 5K per cup. That's what it says. But it doesn't tell me when.
I pay per. Is that that's for qualifiers? I thought 5K. I know for a fact that if you just show up, making it there, you get an 8,000 appearance fee.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like 64,000 goes across to everyone just for being there.
Yeah.
And then where you place is way more than 64,000.
No,
it's I'm pretty sure it's the same as a grand. I think that if you win first place for the cross, you get 120K. That's what I remember looking at. That's what I was told.
Okay, so maybe that information wasn't provided to us at Liquipedia when we were doing the page.
Yeah.
So
this was shared. Actually, I can check in the Discord for AWC. I'll go look for a second.
Live reporting.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Insider knowledge confirmed. Let's go.
I'm looking.
That's awesome. So on ground we have reporter Dopamine. Dopamine, what do you have there on the ground? I see a frost, a very shadowy figure standing behind you. Is that person telling you some secrets in behind, or what's going on there? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, this just in. I'm still looking for it. Sorry.
We'll get back to you soon once Dopamine has found the correct report.
Is that TreesapJake? Back to you on the desk.
Yeah, thanks, Gerissar. Now,
In weather today.
yeah, in the weather today, it's the same
There'll be
weather.
more
It's
Ret Warriors and RMPs. Sorry.
Exactly.
With a smattering of Ellie Shaman and Demolock.
Exactly.
Nix the Ellie Shaman part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Here's a question that somebody was just. What do you guys think of season 4? What's the interaction? What's the how do you think the ladder or how active ladder is going to be, especially with people having to or feeling they have to spend time on Wrath ladder as well? What do you think that's going to be like?
I think it's difficult to tell because we've got a weird conjunction between so like when you look at something like when TBC is released or when Classic is released, it's happened on the second season of an expansion, which is typically the season during expansions that see the least amount of playtime. If you're just like doing normal pattern recognition, the seasons of expansions that see the most playtime is the first and the last. This is going to be the first time a big rival Blizzard, and specifically World of Warcraft project, is going to be released during the last season of an expansion. So I actually don't know. Usually I would say it's going to be pretty low interaction. And if I had to take a guess, I would say yes. I think that season 4, the Eternal season, I think it's going to be called, is not going to see much interaction, but I don't know. It's going to be the last season. So I'm not going to say there's no chance that a big rush will come in especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah, okay. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, my own personal thoughts on it is that I'm going to play my main on in Shadowlands, and I'll probably queue up with the boys that want to queue for Shadowlands. Like I know there's guys that aren't interested in Wrath at all, so I'll play with them, and I'll do what I want in that regard, and it'll be fine to do that. But I think most people will want to play Wrath, and they will do. Like I've got big plans for that myself. I'm really excited for it. And I think most people will kind of like, as kind of like, Mortai says, like, Sidhu said he's done with Shadowlands once the tournaments are over. And I think that's probably what most people are going to do. They're going to play probably the best PvP expansion ever made, in some people's eyes. And everyone's going to go enjoy that. So why wouldn't they? Especially as the season, especially as us as PvPers, we've seen no interaction about the changes to the Glad Mount, which was a big thing. They instantly did it for season 4 with the Death Walker PvE one, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's sort of it's interesting, and I think most people feel spurned by that. So why would they want to play this? Everyone will probably be like, okay, now we play Wrath and we wait for Dragonflight. So maybe there'll be some people queuing, but maybe there won't be. They definitely won't see the interaction. I think it'll be worse than this season, probably.
Yeah. Probably right.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. This season's been pretty dry though as well, and it is the last season of the expansion. So if someone wants to be able to, at least this is the trend among rank 1 players, is that they're always like, I got rank 1 for this many expansions, and like if they haven't gotten one before now, because I know Sinful was it was a meme for if you didn't get the rank 1 in the first half of the season, then you didn't get rank 1, and then last season was like the lowest amount of spots for rank 1 ever, and then this season is vying for that record. If these OGs want to say that they got a rank 1 in this expansion, like next season's probably going to be the season to do it. And so I don't know how much that will play a factor, but if there is a factor that makes that season not unpopular, then it would be that one.
That's actually interesting. That's a good point, actually. I don't know. I think casual players will probably want. I don't know, actually. When I think about it, like with how they've set up Wrath, like I was trying to think from a casual player's point of view. Because a lot of us that we've played WoW for a really long time. But what if you're new to WoW or you haven't really ever pushed anything and you just want to casually play? Like, you probably want. I mean, the classic experience for leveling is much better now because it was interesting. Like, you get free boost as well for any class that you want to play, and you get in, you step in, you go to Northrend and have the best time because it's a wonderful, wonderful expansion to explore. Whereas for season 4, it's kind of like, well, all I'm doing is running around doing the same stuff, either doing keys or dungeons or arena. And if I've got nothing to do, then I'm just running around Oribos. When I could just be, Northrend, leveling up blacksmithing, or exploring something else, or doing some BGs and grinding some honor to get some gear, then step into the arena, or raiding Nax or doing heroic dungeons and all the kind of cool stuff that we used to be able to do that I guess we took for granted and that we don't have anymore. So,
Man, suit yourself on stepping into raids to do arena. You have fun with that one, Chief, because no thank you.
No, you don't have to do it. The thing is though, is that I never did any of this content. I never raided that content back in the day. And as I've gotten older and I've appreciated it more, I want to do it just to experience it. It's the same with TBC. I don't like raiding. I don't like doing PvE at all. I like, especially Mythic Plus, which I have to do for BFA. But I just want to experience it, because there's just a nostalgia hit. Like I want to do ICC. I'd love to get Shadowmourne just because I love it. Like it's amazing. But that's the only reason why. Like I wouldn't want to do it. Like if I had a choice.
I've done transmog. I've done transmog runs. I've seen enough of these raids. that's what I needed to know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Too funny. All right, quick question. Dopamine. Did you figure out what the prize pool was?
Yeah, it's the same as the regular tournament.
Oh, really?
But,
okay.
Yeah, so here's the way it works, right? So you have 120,000 for first place, and that's for each of the inter-regional tournaments. So, keeping it real, Kungarna and Kawhi are both going to get 120K. And then when the cross region happens, it's going to be the same prize pool, but for 8 teams. So the top 4 will have access to a prize, and then the bottom 4 of that 8-team tournament will just get the $8,000 appearance
get the
fee.
consolation.
And then the 8,000 for the appearance actually will be factored into the tournament winnings of the top 4. So it's not like they'll win 120 and then 8,000 for being there. It's like the 8,000 is a part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. I mean, that's worth it. That's worth.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dopamine, for giving us a field report there. Let's go back to. All right. Let's hit the subject analysis, and let's get into the conversation as to why Dopamine is here.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Like I said, I play arena.
You play arena.
A lot of it.
All right.
Is there anything specific angle you want me to go down there? Or?
First question: what's your slash plate on your main?
Actually, I'm logged in right now, so I can look.
I know you are. I heard you in the background.
So 215 days. On my main mage. This is a mage I've been playing since Mists of Pandaria.
Not bad.
At this level, 69 days. Nice.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Good number.
That's
nice
it.
Indeed.
Perfect number, some might say.
Yeah.
I hear. On the grapevine.
69 days. Wow. I mean, that's pretty awesome. All right. Yeah. So I get you kind of scratched at it a little bit as to what made you go from, 5-year-old Dopamine running around in vanilla to actually going full competitive on the ladders.
Killing boars. Said in Elwyn Forest, killing boars because I couldn't read to do quests. Good times.
So many South Park memes right now.
Yeah, literally, I was that guy. I was just grinding boar unironically, and then I would run away from the spiders because I was scared of them. And then eventually, when I got high enough level that the deers, because back in the day the deers would be green or yellow, they wouldn't be gray all the time, like the color of their level.
Yep.
I was just like, damn, I can't kill deers for XP anymore. It turns out I could never actually do that, but I thought I could because the colors were there. I was not the brightest 5-year-old. Anyway,
5. You weren't reading. It's fine.
Well, fair enough.
So were you ever afraid of the Brotherhood though? Those the humans, the thieves and the brigands that were there in the forest?
I didn't know why they weren't my friends. I thought we were gonna be homies, I would get mad at my dad, and I would be like, I'm gonna go join the Brotherhood, and he'd be like, you give that a shot. You go talk to him, see how it goes. And I'd be like, I'm going to right now.
What a guy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
it was fun.
good memories. Okay.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
what made you so like, okay, I'm going to run the ladder. I'm going to be super competitive. I'm going to get rank 1 on the ladder. What was the jump off spot to make you go, I want to do AWC and get BlizzCon?
Okay, I'm gonna go deep on this, okay? If you
Yeah.
don't mind.
No, bring it.
I'm a very philosophical person,
Okay.
and something that has always sort of been at the locus of my philosophical interest has been being a great man. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of like great man history. I don't want to be like one of those guys because those guys usually have pretty questionable records. But I just wanted to be whatever it is that I chose to do. I wanted to be either the best or in the conversation for the best at that thing. Um, and during COVID, I decided that I quit WoW for a while, and then I was like, well, I have nothing to do because it's COVID, so I might as well just do something for fun, pick up a hobby
Mhm.
again, and it was World of Warcraft. And I started playing World of Warcraft to such a degree that I was like, the only way I can justify this is if I'm legitimately driving myself to be the best at it. And that sort of set off a series of events that has, taken me to where I'm at now. Um, and beyond that, I also am I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm autistic.
Oh,
Um,
no.
and as part of that, I have a series or throughout my life I've had a series of, hyperfixations and stuff that I'm like, very interested and
Mhm.
infatuated with. And for a long time, I came from a background of sports. So like, basketball was something I was always very interested in, like analysis and like, you know, certain type of statistics. It was always something that was very interesting to me. And I sort of took that background with me when I came back to WoW, and AWC became the NBA for me.
Mhm.
And I would compare teams. I mean, I could show you this. I don't know if I can share a screen with you on Discord real
Uh,
quick. I could show you.
you
Maybe
could,
should
but
I not?
I'm not set up to put that onto the stream.
Yeah, that's fine,
Yeah.
but I can just show you so you can see. Let me look for it real quick.
All
You'd
right.
have to
This is
paint a
all
nice
the
picture, Gerissar.
yeah. These are um all of this is stuff that I would write down
Oh
about
wow,
like
that's a lot of
AWC.
text. That's a
For
lot of text
example,
document. Yeah.
for every single cup,
Mm-hmm.
every qualifier cup that we were in, I would go through the Game Battles website and I would look at every single team that signed up. And then I would look at every single person that signed up, and then I would search those people on Check PvP, and then I would make a catalog for all of them, the classes that they play in their XP, and I would make a catalog for every cup I did this.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
You should apply for WoW Esports. They'd hire you in a second.
That's kind of what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
So I did this, and then there's stuff like this. Where is it? I did this where I just made a definitive guide to Korthia. I'm just like a nerd, you know what I mean?
That's fine.
And
We all are.
there's one like this is like my prep sheet for AWC.
Is that a
Where
prep
is
sheet for
it?
Kawhi and Unitas?
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's
It
amazing.
shows. So I did this for every team in the circuit. It's like how hard are they to beat? Who's on their team? What do they play? What comps do they have to play? What comps are they gonna play? How do we match up into it? What are our techs? Everything like that, strategies.
Wow.
And I did that for every single team.
You're like Coach
Sick.
Extreme.
That's what people tell me.
That's awesome.
But um, I forgot where I was going with that. But essentially, that was like the idea for me. Was like I'm playing so much, I'm gonna be the best.
Okay.
And especially when I started talking about my opinions on things in the scene,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this: people in the scene are not very welcoming to strangers in the high end. They
Really?
are pretty much like they want to stick to themselves. And when,
Hmm.
a new upstart with who doesn't really have much behind his name starts giving opinions, people don't take kindly to that.
Really?
So I use that as strong fuel to like, oh, you guys, just because I'm only 2900 XP, you don't think I have any worth behind what I'm saying in these things. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go get rank 1. I'm gonna get 3K. I'm gonna get rank 1. I'm gonna get top 10 lad, and I'm gonna go to AWC. And then I eventually did all that. And in AWC, a lot of the people, I'm not gonna name names, but I'll tell you some of the people that were talking that talk were on the teams that we beat. So that was really what drove me to get to where I'm at right now. despite it's just the want to be the best, it was also, proven that when I have an opinion on this stuff, it's not
You're
it's
not
not for
talking
no
about your
reason.
bum. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. I want to get. There's a you mentioned that you're autistic, and I said,
Uh-huh.
oh no, and it's not that oh no you're autistic. It's oh no you hadn't told us before. I think it's really cool that
Yeah,
you're
no worries.
autistic and that you're doing all this
Thanks.
stuff as well. So
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's dope.
It's pretty mild, so I'm chilling. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, it's never affected me negatively or anything like that.
Just take
If
all the
anything, I
benefits
think
of it.
it makes me think differently, which I think is a benefit in competition.
yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes you need to be able to actually work outside the box, and you're exactly right. Like, sometimes, what other people might, sort of like go like, oh no, like you can be like, no, this is great, this is awesome. So just you own it. Like that's 100%.
Yeah, I think that's actually also a strong one of the best qualities of my team is just how outside the box we are. Um, I Super T's actually talked about this a lot in tournament, which was really cool to hear in retrospect after competing. Was we're a team that you really can't expect what we're gonna do next, and that's by design.
Yeah. I love that, man. I honestly do. It's really cool. I think that's really awesome. And I think
Thanks.
a big part of that is just like your work ethic. Like for those of you listening at home, what was so cool about seeing the documents that Dopamine was bringing up was just there's so much there, and like it's sort of like it was a really cool obsession, but like that sort of love and that passion we all have. That's definitely something that we share, because I absolutely love like the AWC, and I love WoW esports, and I wish I could do more personally to kind of like to get the same interest that we had back in the day, because I know in Wrath there was like it was like a MLG sort of esport, and it was really sort of like a well watched sort of thing, and I think that's something that you can really respect. So those are my thoughts on that.
exactly.
Well, I appreciate that.
So you also touched on something there, and I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that you guys weren't well received as peers, I guess, or as fellow competitors. Is that you had to prove yourself in a way, and I know that was also like
And
there was
still are as well. But
pardon
yeah.
me?
I said, and we're still. It's not like we're past the hump. Like we're very much so still in I think in the underdog category personally. But yeah,
Well, I'd say I think you guys proved yourself pretty good, especially at the end of the circuit there. But
I think it's
like
a start.
well, yeah, I mean I don't
I
there's some
appreciate it,
teams.
and a lot of people
Yeah.
are talking like it's so impressive what you guys did, and I appreciate it, but I think we actually underperformed. I think we
Oh,
should
fair.
have made the finals,
Mhm.
and I think that going into next season, we're a lock for the finals, and long term, we're like gonna be. I want to win BlizzCon. Like that's why I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be just a perennial circuit player. I know
Yeah.
I sound like I'm talking a lot of talk, but that's just genuinely the perspective that I am
No.
existing within right now.
You know what? I want to say something. There was an interview with Khabib and Mike Tyson, and Khabib was saying, what people said to me, they always say to me, oh, what's it like being a champion? What's it like being a champion? He goes, oh, it's the same, because I always knew I was a champion. And he turns to Mike Tyson and goes, you know what I mean? He's like, Mike Tyson, yeah. So you already know you're there. Your mind's already there way before you ever become a champion. And so that's the kind of aspect, that is an aspect of a champion, sort of like, you know what? We underperformed. Like you're kind of recognizing that for what you know of your team and its talents and their qualities, you're saying, okay, you know what, other people think this is great, but for me personally, I think we can do a lot better, and because you know and recognize your potential, and because you see yourselves already as BlizzCon champions. And I think that's a good quality to have, and I think that's an awesome thing to be aspiring to, and already have that sort of like confidence. But it's not just like it's not like an arrogance confidence, at least in my opinion, from what I can tell of having spoke to you. It's that sort of like just assurance and that hard work ethic, and that's kind of, I think that's great. I think that's a good thing to have.
I really appreciate it. And to speak to I think maybe what Gerissar was getting at, I actually think what you brought up is a lot of why what happened did happen. When you're saying, there was sort of like a negative reception to us. I think entering the scene with the attitude, the confidence of that, I was the champion. Yeah, the confidence that I was like, I know what I'm capable of doing if I put in the time. Like they were
Mhm.
they just, they wanted get a bit messy. The scene has a lot of problems, but I
Yeah.
think they don't take kindly to newcomers, sort of acting like they're gonna be at the top immediately. And it took until we made the circuit in our first try to sort of say, hey, we're not messing around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a rocky road to start with. I was a person who was very confident and opinionated, and then my partner was a YouTuber who was sort of looked at as like he created the one dance. I don't know if you guys know what the one dance build is.
Isn't
Yeah,
it
I
what?
remember that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Palomar created that build, and it was very controversial. One of the most hated builds I think in all of Shadowlands of any class.
Yeah.
So he had a negative stigma from that. I was very opinionated about players, and that was sort of a problem. And we didn't have a third, so we sort of floundered for a bit until we found Whaler, and then sort of put the pieces together. But the
Mm.
combo of those two things definitely made it tough for us to, you know,
I
break the
mean,
barrier of entry.
definitely
Mhm.
underdogs for sure, because that's the thing. That's the classic underdog story. Like there was a viewpoint that certain other people might have a view on a scene or in a circuit or just in the community in general, and you guys managed to kind of come back up from that. And I think that's the kind of like awesome stories that we get in the AWC and then just in competitive WoW PvP, is that people are able to just out from at least to the rest of us, sort of out of nowhere, kind of come in and compete against these guys. I've always said this for such a long time, that we have a lot of competitors that have remained so very, very strong for such a long time. For example, at least in EU, sort of like Waz and Raikou, Mare, um, Shaz, like they're just such
Mhm.
strong competitors, and they haven't had much competition in such a long time. And which is why I've missed the LAN events, because NA always did such a good job at providing that competitiveness.
Pushback.
Because
Yeah.
yeah,
I
like
actually will defend Chaz and them,
mhm,
and that I think Maro's team has been really stiff competition for them.
exactly, yeah,
And I also think that the addition of My Way, especially last season with how intensely strong Jungle was,
Mhm.
it made it really interesting to watch them play. Although I'm so glad that Swapsy and Raikou are back to competing, because I think with all the bans that were going around,
Yeah.
it felt like there's a lot of asterisks by victories.
Mm. They're
But
definitely like strong competitors. Probably some of the best technical guys out there as well, with their
yeah,
sort of like strategy and everything.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
So
but it's interesting.
kind of curious then, going back to where I was going with my lead in. The So like you said, the start was a little rocky. I just kind of, what was that? Like, was that um just the differences on the TR and kind of getting yourselves situated well enough there that you felt good, or was that nerves and anxiety? Was it like, oh my god, we're actually like full on competitive against these folks? Like, what happened there, and what kind of got you past that to then perform the way you wanted to towards the end of the circuit, especially?
hmm So I think actually it started even before that. It was like in the push to rank 1 last season. I think also what makes our team special is that we only have one rank 1, and we got it literally the same month. We logged in and got our rank 1s after we made the first qualifier cup. And I don't think that's ever been done before. We were so fresh even on the scene, much less to
Mm-hmm.
competing itself. Um and like I said, having a hyperfixation, I view these people the same way I view someone like Kobe Bryant. Um, it's hard to tell them apart. It's like I grew up watching Sea. I grew up watching these players, and I was a huge fan. I literally have Sea-Doo's shirts in my closet. Like I am. It's like, imagine you grew up watching Michael Jordan play, and then you turn 18, you get drafted, now you're in the league and you're playing against him. It's a little surreal.
Mm.
Obviously, it's not the same thing, but that's just sort of the way that I looked at it. And that was what was rocky for me. And I think that pushed our team getting into the circuit part of that. We war gamed and I mean this, we were game more than anyone.
Hmm.
We were on that tournament fighting everyone we could, gathering as much information as we could, being as practiced and sharp as we could every single day, an absurd amount. And I think that actually was what gave us the opportunity to get where we ended up. So yeah, that
Nice.
the rockiness led us to Wargame, which made us a better team.
Nice. So just to talk, like, I know you're talking mostly about your experience. What was it like for your teammates then? Did they like, because I know you said you're hyper fixated. You're the one really pushing for this. The other guys were like, yeah, let's do it for fun, right? But like, have they talked about their experiences and what it was like for them too? Is it similar or?
So both of them, I'm in a weird spot where I'm the only one on the team that doesn't really stream, and I don't really because I can't. I did it a couple times after competing because I was at my grandma's house. I don't know if I
Yep.
mentioned this on the stream, but my internet's so bad I would have to drive like 2 hours every time I would compete to go to my grandma's house to have good internet to compete, or else I would DC during tournaments, which I did multiple times in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. You didn't mention that until
And
now.
It's mental.
yeah, you can literally watch on the streams. I don't know how many people noticed it, but I would literally just be standing still for like 10 seconds at a time, and people would just be killing me. And my team, who was just so used to it, God bless them, they would just be like, "Well, what can we do? We just have to just keep playing and try and keep them alive because teams are not going to wait for you in tournament."
Nope.
Um.
Well, sometimes they do,
Anyways,
but yeah.
no, they don't. I'm telling you, they don't.
Okay.
They might do it in qualifiers, but once you're in the circuit, no one will wait for you. Period. Plain and simple. All the teams actually, we all had conversations with each other about it, where it's like, just know, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm friends with you. Like for example, like Flop.
Mm-hmm.
I've been friends with Flop. He's the person who's been on my B tag the longest. We both found each other in LFG back at the very end of WAD when I was like 14,
That's
and
awesome.
we were main team friends. And we had to be like, and like the day before, we were just like, look, man, like I love you. We're friends.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting. I won't do it. And it's like that's like, you know, it's just it is what it is at that point. Money's on the line. It's a job. It's
Yeah.
And
um
personal.
it's nothing personal, exactly. But to your point, I forget. I keep going on these long twisted rants. Forgive me.
No worries.
What was the
Yeah.
question again? There was something
Just
I was trying to get to.
I was wondering, like, if how it was with for your teammates. Like, you're saying like how.
Yeah. So they both. Yeah, like I was saying, they both stream.
Yeah.
So they talk pretty openly and pretty often about their perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
And to put it pretty succinctly, if I can speak for them, my rogue is pretty much like my priest and I are the ones who have the biggest differences. My priest name is Whaler. Love him
Yep.
to death. One of my best friends in the world. And he gets very burnt out very easily. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not so interested in the glory. Like he loves it when he gets it, but it's not like he's here for the reason of winning BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to sort of negotiate with him to get playing hours because we're not going to play without him because there's no other priest is like him.
No, he's pretty
Um,
special.
he's incredible, literally incredible. And I mean, just a truly, I think it's a generational talent on that class. And I think anyone who knows him and understands the meta would say the same.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan, my rogue Palomar, he's sort of in the middle where he's like, I'm willing to grind 24/7, but I'm also a streamer, so I have other things as well. So it's like if we want to be more casual, that's fine as well.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of them expected us to make it to circuit. I was fully set on making the circuit as early as like last October before we even had Whaler. I was like, I'm making it to the circuit. Like I knew it was gonna happen.
Nice.
But they were sort of like along for the ride for fun. See, whatever happens, happens. That was like their perspective, and it was all super cool. And we all worked, and we wanted to do as best we could. But for them, it was mostly for fun.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
Twitch chat, social media. Uh, you were the underdog. You were the new people on the scene. Uh, relatively unknown, other than like I said, Palomar was probably better known because of his YouTube and
Yeah.
that one shot.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I remember seeing Whaler a bit in social medias and that, but not extremely well known, I'd say. And then suddenly, boom, you guys are on the scene, and you know, controversially using the OPAF comp and taking down people's team favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
And then
people weren't
posting videos
kind.
about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Kearney.
How did that feel?
Real quick, I just want to say hello to Kearney in chat. Legend of a player. Legend. Sweetest guy. Love that guy. Also helped whip our team into shape. Great player. Taught us a lot across the months. Great player. Anyway, sorry.
No
Shout out to
worries.
Kearney. Question, you were saying how did it feel to like take out the team favorites?
Yeah, and the subsequent not so nice Twitch chat, social media, that culture.
Well, I think are you referencing like when we took out Team Liquid, Sedu's team,
Yeah.
in the qualifier?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a pretty controversial series. It actually, I'll tout for a moment. It is the shortest series in AWC history
Mm-hmm.
in terms of time in game, and I don't think that tells the full tale, because the comp that they played to start. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell the whole behind the scenes.
Bring it.
When, like I said, on the week 1, we were wargaming a lot, like a lot. We were wargaming a ton of teams, a ton of comps, and we wargamed Liquid a bunch, and we played our signature comp, which is sub RP. Kearney saying that's a clean dub. Appreciate that, buddy. Anyway, so we played our sub RP, and it went well. And then they actually comp swapped to what they ended up playing in tournament, which was Fury Warrior, Fire Mage, Venthyr Mistweaver, which is a comp literally I've never seen anyone else play, primarily because of the Venthyr Mistweaver.
Yeah,
The benefit there of being able to like Sidu calls it pre-homie the go, and being able to use like really powerful healing abilities through something like a smoke bomb or a shadowy duel made like a lot of the win conditions that we're used to sort of exploiting when playing sub RMP sort of vanish. In the war games, we're like, okay, us playing sub into this comp is not going to work. Like, we're just going to die. We're just going to lose, because we just kept losing in war games. So then when the time came in, and I don't think a lot of people know this, before you get to the broadcast and the qualifiers, you actually have to play a certain number of series just to get to the broadcast. That's like the open bracket. And we actually fought
Yes.
Sidu's team the same week in the open bracket, and they played that comp, and we had planned for that, and we played ASA RMP, and we beat them 3-1 playing ASA RMP into that comp. So to get to the broadcast, we beat them in the same matchup, but we played ASA. So going into that broadcast qualifier series, they knew that we had ASA as an option, and that comp wasn't going to work. So they picked another comp. We knew that they knew, so we pre-planned their pre-plan and played sub RMP, and we beat the Windwalker Mage, which was their counter to ASA RMP. And then when they switched back to that comp, we were like, let's just play sub RMP. And the power of sub RMP was apparent, because even though it was a counter, sub RMP is so gross at times with the damage that it provides, that if you make a mistake, such as casting a Soothing Mist for a second to get up and enveloping, and you get counterspelled, it's over. Like, there's nothing you can do. You're gonna die.
Nope.
And that's exactly what happened on Ashamane's. And trading one, like, even if you don't get locked out and you do trade a cooldown, like say Enraged Regen, like Mez did on the last game of that series on Hook Point, one CD is not enough for combustion, which is the power of sub RMP. So the feeling was, euphoric. I was exuberant to win that series, but there there is something to be said for how powerful the comp was, and I understood a lot where people were coming from when they were commenting about how we were sort of sub RMP abusers and RMP abusers. But I think that the track record from that point forward really really showed that wasn't the case. We proved that we weren't I think we proved that we weren't just one tricks who were going to be there for one series and then be out for the rest of the time.
True.
So what might have been, I think I took it like most other things. When I heard all of that, didn't really make me mad. It just took it as a challenge.
Okay. Because I know there's a couple times where even Sea was up on Twitch on like socials and like telling people to chill, and like that's not nice. Basically telling people to.
Yeah, I mean, especially towards the end, Sea I
Mm.
think has become one of the teams that we're closer to. Like we talk a fair amount, we fight all the time, and even
Cool.
on Twitter, he's been supporting us, especially when we beat C9. Like he's been super, kind to us. So.
All right, I gotta ask. Sorry, Jake, do you have something?
Yeah, I was actually muted when I was. My microphone was like on, and I was trying to speak, and you were kind of. I was going, oh, sorry, dude. Like, no, you go. And then I realized, oh, this is very strange. Gerissar was talking over me like a lot, and I was like, what's going on? And I realized I was muted. You probably could have seen me trying to talk like in the video.
Oh no.
Yeah, unfortunate, but we move on. I was just going to say it's so interesting hearing your like kind of like the background to that, because yeah, you're right. Like from the outside, most people are like, oh yeah, it's just a sub RMP abuser. Yeah, that's it. But the fact is, you guys had a strategy and you totally like IRL mind games them. And that's awesome. Like that is the cool thing. And you know what? I think, and this is a thing I think about a lot when it comes to the AWC. They need to be broadcasting that information way more, because that sort of insider track, like think about League of Legends, they've got, I don't know, Shocks on the ground. She's talking to the competitors, asking them about stuff, asking them about this and that. And they're giving like a little bit of like feedback on what they did and what they kind of came in to do. We don't get that as much for the AWC. Yeah, we're hearing like Venruki and Super T's and Zico giving their amazing expertise on the whole situation. But I want more of the player interviews. I want Aya to go in and like, do some more player interviews and talk to you guys about it, because that's sick. Like I love that, and that whole story just changed that whole dynamic for at least anyway. Not that I had a bad opinion to begin with either, but it's just interesting.
I completely agree. Like I told you, my background in coming into all this is basketball. What's interesting about basketball is the narratives. It's the story, and I think that there's this thing, and I've applied this to most like just concepts in my life. But when I was in choir in high school, my director would say like there's two aspects to a song. There's the mechanics, and then there's the soul. First, you get down the mechanics, you get the notes, you get the inflections, you get intonation, and then once you have that down and you know it inside and out, you have to put the soul into it, the beauty into it. You have to make it. It has to be living. And I think it's the same thing with like, you know, esports and sports in general. It's the narrative and the story that keep people interested in coming back. And not that there's any plans in the future, but I know that if I were to work with like the AWC team, I would make a much bigger focus on like the soul of the game, because it feels like, and they've done a great job, but they're mostly just focused on the mechanics of things, like what's going on in the game, what's going to happen in the game, and the story is always sort of taken the backseat.
Yeah. The rivalries, the intrigue, the interest, obviously in a good nature. Not trying to like stoke division or whatever, but like you say, the
Division
relation
exists. Whether or not you're stoking it, I can tell you the divisions are there.
I'm sure, but like in terms of like in a broadcast way, it's hard sometimes because companies don't want to do that. But that's by the by. If you think about like your relationship with CG, off the back of that, people might think, oh, you guys rinsed them. Surely there might be some animosity, but there isn't. As you said, they're closer with you because they're intrigued.
And it was awkward for a bit. Sorry to keep interrupting. It was awkward because I remember right after that, my rogue, to his credit or not, he put out a video called "How We Beat Team Liquid in 5 minutes," in under 5 minutes. And then I remember the next time that they talked about that, just as a part of being a content creator, my rogue Palomore and Sea and I think Mitch Jones and Absters were just chilling in a call talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And Mitch Jones was like looking to play with Palomore and one of them to heal. And CD mentioned, he was like, this guy put me in a YouTube video. And it was kind of awkward, kind of funny. And then playing against each other, they've tweeted about us and been supportive. And then we've talked in whispers and stuff. And
that's cool.
It's become a lot more cordial and friendly and really cool. So yeah,
I guess it goes with anything, Larry. Like if you're the new person, okay, you're the new kid, you're talking some talk, whatever, but now you've proven yourself, so okay, you guys are legit. All right, let's do this.
Exactly. We earned a little bit of respect, I think, just a bit, just to start.
I have to ask one piece though. You kind of hit on the whole, and it was like the coup d'etat, if you want. The best part is final circuit, C9. I mean, you're saying Flop was your buddy, and you guys 3-0'd him. What did that feel like?
It was electric. I mean, you have to keep in mind our position going into that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
So,
C9.
yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
Cloud9.
yeah.
It's I funny story, 2 years before that,
Mm-hmm.
I was just getting back into WoW, and I saw Cubsy in Elwyn Forest. And at that time, I was sort of, I don't know if this is usual, but for me, I sort of stayed away from threes because I was a bit scared of it, and I mostly focused on twos.
I think
So I
that's
was
normal.
relatively high rated in twos,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw him, and I was like, would you possibly be interested in playing twos with me sometime? And Cubsy, being a sweet guy, is just like, yeah, sure, let's play right now. And I was just like, oh my god. And I literally was like fully shaking playing twos with him. And who do we queue into? All right, we're playing R Druid Mage, right?
Yep.
We queue up one game, and do you know who's on the other team? We're low rated, by the way.
Yeah.
We're fighting Jamili and Gorecki.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, dude, I'm a noob, man. I was shaking nervous.
Oh my
Shaking
god.
nervous.
Yeah.
And then after 2 minutes, we won the game. And then I was like, thank you so much, Cubsy. But for my own health, I'm going to take that game and go now. I appreciate that, but I'm going to go now. And he was
Yeah.
like, that's probably for the best. And and to think now, 2 years later, I'm fighting his team in circuit
Mm-hmm.
and clean sweeping them. And by the way, I should mention, I think we fought C9 in the same qualifier cup that we fought Sea-Doo's team, and we actually lost to them through
Yes.
2-3. It was a
Yeah,
close. I think it was the closest series of the day. I remember Vinruki saying it was the longest series. We went from the shortest series to the longest series. And
Karma. That's how it works. It's the balance of life.
indeed. But that was actually, we had met C9 throughout all of the competition many times. So that the first week we fought them, we lost on such a close game on game 5. Then the next week we fought them, we 3-0'd them. We played sub RMP into, they played Hunter Mage, then they played Mage Lock, and we 3-0'd them. Then the next week we fought them again and we got 3-0'd. And then we fought them again in the circuit and 3-0'd them. So like, I think our team and their team has actually been pretty linked, where it's a very back and forth. Different comps every single series, but it's a clash every time we fight. And I think to go out of circuit that way, and then also that was the team where if they would have lost the last series on the last day, we would have made the top 4 and they wouldn't have. So
Yes.
there's
That
like
was
a
really
weird
close.
fate. There's like a weird tie of fate between our team and that team in this circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Love it.
yeah, it was super
Absolutely love
cool. It was amazing.
That is definitely a story. Like that is one, as we were saying, it's something that you don't hear, like the personal touch of you having played with Cubsy and then 2 years later you're 3-0ing them. That's I mean the one that comes to mind for me and the one that I always thought was amazing was the Sea-Doo storyline of how he literally was like at certain places, went from like, I don't know, 7th place all the way up to 1st place when they eventually won BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And that whole, and the video that he did, it was like an hour-long video. That was
Overcoming the Summit, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, Overcoming Summit. Yeah, it was
phenomenal video.
Yeah, incredible, because that's not something you usually sort of see. And that as a story itself has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a narrative that you can really get behind. And that really, I think, sort of like brought that out. And that's great. And that's why, to be honest, I'm sure Gerissar agrees with me, like why we love having you on here and having competitors on here to chat about this sort of thing, because
Yeah.
we learn the amazing stories that you guys have gone through to sort of get to the point and get to the skill level that you're at.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think my favorite part is not even the stories that have happened, but the stories that I think are to come.
Mhm.
That's what I'm really looking forward to personally.
There's some good ones
yeah.
around the corner. There is.
Yeah.
Speaking of stories to come, I picked both of your guys' brains. I'm going to start with you, Dopamine, just because you're the guest, and so you have the place of honor. And from the sounds of it, you probably have a really, really good idea of what this is going to be like. But we talked about it. Global finals just around the corner. There can only be one team that's number one. So, NAEU, what are your predictions?
You know, if you would have asked me in any other season that I paid attention, I would have said it was the most cut and dry thing ever.
Mhm.
But I think maybe it's like you know, the if you're too in the forest, you can't see through the trees. I'm so close to it now that I really think that all of these teams that have made the top 4 in each region are so good. They're so good. I can see anything happening.
Really?
I will say that I think that the best on NA right now is Kawhi for sure. I think that they're just a level of polished. They're just robots. They're just literally AI. Like they just don't make mistakes. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. They don't make mistakes. It just doesn't happen. Um, but at the same time, you have to look at teams like Kearney's team, like 3.5 Men. This is a team that is such a that the quantity of talent that exists on that team is arguably unparalleled. Like they are just so smart, so good, so you know their improvisation is again, it's like nothing else you've ever seen.
Oh, they pivot like there's
I
no tomorrow.
yeah, you can't count that team out. Like you just
No.
can't in good conscience ever count that team out. Um, and I mean,
Okay.
again, the same thing. Like Cloud9 is incredible, and
Mhm.
I mean, Sea-Doo's team. What can you say about Sea-Doo's team? They went from a team that lost in no time flat to my team, brand new, to going 6-1 in the circuit. Like
Yep.
they have reinvented themselves throughout the series, throughout the last couple of months. Um, and I mean, just really showed that they are a force to be reckoned with, and that they just can't be counted out. I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see if they can really game plan anything to take out Kawhi. But Kawhi is just every time you think that another team that's practiced more is going to take out Kawhi, Kawhi just shows up and just dominates them. I don't know. The team is just incredible. On the side of EU, I actually think things are more cut and dry. Maro's team is incredible in terms of skill, but it's just not their meta.
Yeah.
With the best answer that they have for Outlaw RMP is to mirror it, and their primary competition in terms of Outlaw RMP is Waz
Yeah.
mirror.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it's just never going to happen.
No. Same with casual
And
dads too, if you don't mind me saying.
no, you can beat casual dads in a mirror if you're Waz, and they have, and they will again.
Oh, fair.
If I'm
I've seen
being
SK
really
Gaming,
honest,
but
I can see SK Gaming taking out casual dads in a mirror, but I think it's
really,
definitely in favor of casual. I could, yeah,
yeah.
I could, because I think Alec and Morrow, in terms of, uh, see, I get myself in trouble here because this is when I go like NBA, where it's like, who's better? Who's all time better? Is it Kobe? Is it Durant? And I'm just like, it's Durant. But then
Yeah.
the problem here is that Kobe and Durant aren't multimillionaires doing their own thing. They're people who will listen to what I'm saying, and I've got myself in trouble, so I can't say who's better. But I do think Morrow and Alec are both insane players.
Mhm.
I don't know which one I'd give the edge to publicly. Um, but I mean, again, you look at like Asgrath, and who's their healer again? Is it Clyde? I think Clyde is the healer
Yeah.
for Casual Dads. Yeah,
Yeah. Clyde.
Clyde has more experience on Priest than Asgrath.
Yeah.
So you can give the edge there. And then you look at someone like Zpai's Rogue. The thing with people look at the rogues, like the rogue is not actually, unless you're like Waz or like Calvish,
Mhm.
the difference in rogue is not that big a deal in a series because Outlaw Rogue is not really like Rogue.
No, it's not.
Um, It's
not
like a
sub.
different thing.
Yeah.
It's a different entity. So like the fact that Zeepai is new on Outlaw, like so is Nixie, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I don't even think it matters who's gonna win there because Kangaroo is gonna win on EU for sure. And then in terms of a cross regional, it just depends how the servers look. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'm gonna go with Kangaroo personally.
Yeah.
It's their meta,
Mhm.
so that's what I would say.
I heard that on the cross regional, Prev isn't going to play because he's in Australia and the
New
NA
Zealand.
or New Zealand. Sorry, correction. Yeah, New
Yeah.
Zealand. And so
Yeah.
the well, it's Oceanic either way, and the servers for NA are going to be on the East Coast. So he's not going to have the ping. He just can't.
I believe it's on the West Coast actually.
I thought it was on the East Coast.
No, it's on the West Coast, which is why EU players are mad.
Okay.
But Prev can play if they're on NA servers.
Oh yeah, if they're on the
But-
West Coast, then he should be able to. But I heard they're East Coast
Right,
servers, so he was going to
you-
not.
But his ping on the away server when they would play on the EU server would be so bad he couldn't play. So his idea is like, if I could only play half of the games accurately, the series wouldn't be fair regardless. So why play at all? Like, why not just go into this with the understanding that it's like a fun exhibition match, but
Okay.
like the real match will happen when lanes are back.
Yeah.
That's the attitude. That's the conversation that I've had with them about it.
Okay. All right. I misunderstood that then. Huh. Okay.
See, this is the information. This is the insider knowledge that we're getting once again from Dopamine. You know-
Yeah.
We're gonna have,
I just have all this stuff that I sit on, or I talk to all these people, and I would love to share it, but I don't have a platform, you know.
Well,
Are we-
you do now currently.
Well, no, I do, I suppose.
are we gonna have
Yeah.
to start having the dopamine minute where we have bring in field caster
I could
Dopamine to
give some
give the
some
insider.
expert consultation.
Story time with Dopamine, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I mean, honestly, Gareth, so if the AWC don't want to broadcast, some of the awesome stories that's out on the circuit, then why not?
Yeah.
I think. But anyway,
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Jake, what's your prediction?
It's a hard one. It's exactly kind of as Dopamine says. The meta favors Kangana so strongly. I think for many, many years, Waz is just in general probably the strongest player mechanically that we've had for a very long time. Maybe even, I mean, maybe it's not fair to even talk about Rekful, but he is just incredible mechanically, no matter what class he plays, especially on Rogue, which is the ultimate comfort zone. And then you've got Raikou again, Goliath on Mage, and both Chaz and Meh, who are some of the incredible players and healers in general, especially Meh on Priest, which is a massive pickup for their team. I would hope. Now, I'm a big fan of SK Gaming. I'm a big fan of that team. Obviously, as a Shaman player, I'm a big fan of Zeepai. He's a very chill dude, very good player. I would love for them to come out and find something to counter that RMP from Kangana, but it's hard to think.
They won't.
Yeah, I don't think they will. But it would be, what? I'd love for that to happen. I'd love for them to figure it out and love for them to be able to do it if
Their best bet would be to play Demo DK, like put Mersa on Demo and then have Zeepai pull out the Unholy DK.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I played a lot into the best version of NA's comp that plays that, which is Maldiva, Mez, and Sidu have played that comp a bunch, and we've taken games off of them.
Yeah.
And if our team can take games off of them, Waz's team can surely take games off of EU's version of it.
It'd be interesting to see for sure. Like, you know what? I was thinking that it would be Demo DK or a Demo Lock comp, I suppose. I think probably you're right. Like the Demo DK is probably the best variant of it. It would be. I would love to see it. Like that'd be amazing. But whether or not that works or not is just another situation. So, but yeah, I think my prediction is I want SK Gaming to shake things up just because they're my personal favorites. But I think probably Kangano are going to take it.
All right.
What about you, Gerissar?
I think yeah. Kungarna is pretty much the easy bet for EU. We know it. I'm also pulling for SK Gaming. I think between them all, Casual Dads, like all-time favorites, been around for years. But
Glad that they're back this season.
Oh yeah, me too.
For sure.
But I still think SK Gaming are just better technical players overall. I think they're going to have the edge. NA has definitely got a bit more of a toss-up. I think 3.5 Men definitely have. They're still a bit of a dark horse. I think they might be able to smooth out their gameplay just a little bit more and just take those a little bit of an edge. But yeah, Kawhi. I mean, they're an absolute powerhouse of a team. Same with Team Liquid. Sea-Doo and the team, like they put in the work. They figure out those nuances. I mean, like look at Double Outlaw and that.
Yeah, and then now they're constantly practicing. They pulled out the DK Outlaw, which was a thing. I mean, they're just workhorses. They really are. So I mean, yeah, you can't say enough about them. They're great.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like and there's always that thing about it. It's great to see a team that plays the one comp and they're like the supreme experts of that comp. And then it's really impressive to see somebody be able to switch out between 3 different specs in 3 different games back to back and play each one to a very high level. Which I think is where Team Liquid really comes in. They have all those different comps in their back pocket. I would love to see Cloud9 get a little bit further, but I think that they're still trying to learn to play together a little bit better, and there's still some cleanup they need to do. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing Kawhi and Team Liquid in the top 1 and 2. I'm not exactly sure which one's going to be there though. So, and I'm not even going to guess on the global finals. That's it's a bridge too far for my brain. All right. Holy moly. We've done it. Wow. Okay. So let's.
Nice.
But wait, I want to do the news, but I have to ask as you know, Jake. I talked a whole bunch. You do it. What's the question that what's the last question?
Yes. So the last question that we always ask is, if you had unlimited resources, if you were in charge of everything to do with Blizzard, WoW, whatever. If you could get anything that you wanted in like the ideal situation, what is the one thing that you would change with World of Warcraft and anything to do with it? So we'll obviously start with you, Dopamine.
I'm lagging out here and there. You think if I had like unlimited power, if I can make one change to Blizzard, what would I do?
Oh yeah, so I'll repeat that for you, buddy. It's essentially if you had like as much power as possible, like all the options, as much money as possible, unlimited resources, and you were in charge of World of Warcraft or anything to do with it, what would be the one thing you'd change? PvP, PvE, anything?
I would just make the player base bigger. I would do everything I could to grow the player base.
I like it.
It's an MMO. The more people who play it, the better.
What would you think would be the thing that will do that for WoW at the minute in the retail environment?
I'll be honest, I don't know. If I had to take a guess, I would sort of just try and listen to the player base as much as possible and try and be really consistent with changes and I don't know, I would definitely not. I didn't like how many layoffs they did over the past few years. I like I like more people on the team, more people, better product, more players. That's the way I look at it.
Do you think the recent acquisitions are a good sign? Like they bought a couple of studios.
I'm hopefully optimistic.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
I think that's definitely a good way to be for sure.
All right.
Awesome. That's a great answer, I think.
Jake, I'm going to throw that right back to you though.
Oh.
Out of everything in WoW, what's the one thing you would change?
Just remove rogues. No, I'm kidding. No, if I had unlimited power, or just ability to do anything, I think it would be. I think in the subject of the AWC, I think I would put so much money into it that I could develop it.
Oh yeah, me too.
Into like God. Like how League is, like how great League is, and how amazing every single like league tournament is. That would be where the money is. The prize pools would be massive. The facilities for players would be massive. The opportunities for new players, youth academies, more investments from like big people. So
Speaking
that
my language.
exactly that sort of stuff would be insane because we'd have homegrown talent. The game would be potentially a flush with people who are really keen to make it big in WoW esports and make money from it and their way. But also they'd fall in love with the game that we all have fallen in love with as well. Because let's face it, when you really have people to show you and there's enough money in something, it becomes something that people can actually really enjoy. I think League is an example of this, and I don't like talking like going back to it, but it is just done so well esports wise. It's simple. They have a lot of patches often, and they're very clear on their notes. They have a lot of community feedback, but the pro scene is flush with money and flush with support and flush with just everything. So that would be that'd be what I'd be saying. Really, that's what I'd do.
Interesting. I'd slow the game down.
Oh.
I think that's gonna happen. That the speed of the game is not something I think that needs to be changed naturally. Because sorry, I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong, right? Sorry.
I've listened to what you're saying, and you're wrong.
Yeah, your opinion happens to be wrong according to my opinion.
Yes.
No, but the speed of the game will always go up and down. I think it's meta by meta. And I used to get mad when I thought about people being like RMP should be bad, where it's like everyone should get to enjoy their meta. I don't want to impose my meta on everyone else if they don't enjoy it the way I do. Just so happens that right now and for the past 10 years, it's been an RMP meta.
Hell yeah, dude.
I want to qualify that a little bit. Is what I mean by slow it down is I remember watching games and be able to see what was happening. Right now, the game is so fast. There's like 18 abilities going off, and I only catch like 2 of them. Just on as a viewer perspective.
I think a lot of the problem there is that the UI. I think I can tell you this, and that a lot of the competitive players have had conversations about this. The UI provided for the AWC is really bad. It is not indicative of a vast majority of not only what's actually going on, but what's important to keep an eye out for what's going to be happening insofar as spells that are legitimately consequential. It's just entirely outdated. I don't know who made it, but it could use a lot of updates. I don't know if it's the game that's the problem or the operation surrounding bringing and showing the game to you guys that's the problem. I think it's the UI, not the game.
Yeah, I think it's like between instant cast.
If you're talking about like on Twitch or something, maybe you're talking
I'm just talking about everything. Like even when I'm playing the game, like there's like what happened. I have to go back and I have to see that there's like 5 abilities that went off in the last second. It's like, oh, okay, that's what killed me. Okay.
You know what? Actually, I was just thinking about that. Actually, a lot of that might just be like the hidden modifiers and certain things that sort of like stacks. Like for example, I think in PvE this is thing as well. Like there's modifiers upon modifiers. Just in general for I don't know, like they're sort of I don't know, like kind of like for bosses, like there's modifiers on there and things stack and whatever, and then you need to spread this and whatever. And sometimes there's stuff you don't need, and especially the case in PvP as well when there's just stacking of everything. And I think if we had, I think this would be interesting. And I think you'll probably maybe see this as well in Wrath when there's classic tournaments for that. Whether you will feel like you actually understand that more because the game was slower, at least in comparison. Like, I mean, TBC, for example, like, nowadays when you play Arena, you're pressing buttons a lot for the globals. But I think TBC Rogue, for example, there's a lot of waiting and a lot of auto attacks and stuff like that, especially for melee and everything as well. Like that's indicative of a slower pace. So that'd be interesting. I think that's a really interesting point to talk about because it is, it is something that people have said that they maybe find this, for example, Shadowlands a bit too fast. But
well, I want to provide some pushback if that's okay. I do think that's the more that's going on is just it's a 1-to-1 translation to a higher skill cap. The more that's going on that you need to be aware of in order to perform, you just have to be better. and I actually like that it's really fast right now, and I wouldn't mind it being faster. But I understand that you have to
Okay.
make a game for everyone, not just the RMP player. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's fine.
I think I have the minority opinion in that sense. But
Listen,
No.
my opinion is right and yours is wrong, Dopamine, and that's just where we're going to.
I mean, I'm on
According
Twitter all
to
the time.
my character baiting, my opinion. No, I'm kidding. I
No,
would never do
listen,
that.
you can only have an opinion if you're 1500 plus. That's high rated. So
Why'd you gotta cut me off like that again, man?
Yeah, I mean, as a RMP player on Twitter, I've seen it all. So trust me, I know my opinion is wrong for
exactly. Listen,
just
you
because I'm alive. I'm just wrong.
exactly.
I get it.
I'll let you know. I paid a lot of gold for that boost to get me to 1100 rating. All right.
And I'm now entitled to an opinion. So
Exactly.
listen to me in the AWC YouTube chat. I mean, if you guys, I mean, the group chat's dedicated to making fun of some of these people in the
Mhm.
AWC YouTube chat among the competitors. It's brutal. It's really brutal and savage what these people say.
Oh, I
It
know.
is.
I
It's
moderated.
hilarious.
I moderated
People in
for a
these
few
YouTube
months.
chat have no idea.
No.
They are. I mean, I say this in the most sympathetic and kind way. These people are morons. They have no idea what they're talking about.
No.
It's a form of entertainment in and of itself. It's like going to the
It is.
zoo.
If
Truly.
it depends if you like watching Kalan Fiestas or not. I'm gonna admit.
Fair
Before
enough.
we switch on to the next, there's one little thing I have to ask you, Dopamine, because you said it off chat, and I have to bring it up, or before we start recording. Again, how much gold did you pay your brother to stop playing WoW so you had full bandwidth?
So, because I live on a farm and I didn't know about driving to my grandma as an option to have good internet, I decided to ask my brother kindly. I was like, "Hey, man, when I'm in the middle of literally competing on circuit on a broadcast in front of thousands, could you just, just take a break for like 30 minutes to an hour just for the series?" And he said, "Well, that's going to be 4 tokens for one series." And then the second time I asked him, he's like, "Well, second time it's going to be 5 tokens." So I ended up paying him 1,000,000 gold for about an hour of playtime.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There goes your earnings.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much.
It's a
With
sacrifice.
the way that the prize pools are, yes, there goes the earnings.
All right. On that note, let's
Yeah.
get into the news and roll on out of this.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. Thanks, Millhouse. I'm gonna go to Dopamine. I know, like we made you talk a whole bunch, but you casted the darn thing. What's the first event that happened?
So there was an Oasis community 1v1. It was called the Duke Out. We did it was 14 players, I believe, all in a 1v1 tournament, single elimination. I casted it alongside Lithra, Party Pete, Cherry, Mortai in the chat, and a few others helped run the whole thing. It was really entertaining, but the primary reason that we were there was to raise money for the Trevor Project, which is a foundation committed to providing resources for endangered LGBTQ youth. One of the best charities in terms of ratings. It's very transparent about its giving. So you can feel really confident giving to it. And we actually were able to raise $750. I think it was more than that because we raised $750 during the stream, and then the actual donation stayed open for a few days after that.
Oh,
So
okay.
we raised close to $1,000, I believe.
You might be right. I went with what I saw. So
Yeah, it was just during the stream that was
yeah.
750, and I ended up taking a pie to the face. Which you can see on my Twitter at twitter.com/dopaminex_. Although you don't have to go check that. Trust me, you don't have to. We did the Bean Boozle challenge. Pete got liver and onions. It was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
What else? Lithra did the fiery ramen noodle challenge. We all chugged Sprite and nearly had heart palpitations because of it. Because geez, man, it is tough. It is tough. To chug Sprite. You think it's not, and then you get halfway through that chug and you're like, oh, this hurts. This is painful. That's not what I thought that was gonna be. No, you don't have to link that in the chat. You don't have to do that. You guys are devious.
I want to click
Nice.
that link. I haven't seen this.
Go for it.
Well, chat, no need to do that if you don't want to, which I'm sure you don't. So
make sure you like it, boost it, retweet it. It needs to be seen.
Yeah. And then we're currently, all of us are conspiring to have a Twitch pizza, a pizza with 5 toppings, all chosen by Twitch, and it's looking like pineapple and anchovy are going to be some of the toppings right now. But
Wow.
yeah, we did some challenges. We raised some money for the Trevor Project.
That's
We watched
awesome.
some awesome duels. It was really fun.
That is so awesome. Well, just while you're doing this, I am pulling up the Tiltify just to make absolutely sure. And of course, now it's not working. So never mind. I can't verify what the exact dollar amount was. So I'll trust you though.
Sorry
like
about
probably
that.
$950.
Something in that range, I believe.
No worries.
I know that if we would have raised 2,500, I would have had to dye my whole head, whatever
Ooh.
color Twitch chose. I was willing to do it.
That's awesome of you, though.
Yeah, I wanted to support the Trevor Project. It's an awesome foundation.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yep.
I think the best part about the whole thing to me was the pie in the face contest. Only because, especially Lithra's girlfriend, like you and Party Pete did it yourselves to yourself, but then Lithra's girlfriend did it to him, and she got him good. Like she even squirted more on top of him after she pied him in the face. It was
needs to be done. Needs to be done.
I didn't even see it. I haven't even seen it yet because I was too busy during the break.
Yeah.
When they were doing theirs, I was getting my brother. I was having to bribe him again. I was like, "You need to take the video," and he's like, "What am I getting out of it?" I was like, "I'll give you a token, man. Just take the video." My brother is a greedy man. Jesus.
He's rinsed you, dude, of literally everything.
He did.
Is he Goblin IRL? Is he Goblin IRL?
He is, man. He just wants gold, man. He loves the black market auction house, man. He lives there. He's in that castle in Revendreth every day. And I have no use for gold. I helped JPC and a couple other people get their rating at the start of the Race to World First this season. So I just have a bunch of gold, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do with this? I don't need it, you know.
Yeah.
So
nice.
It's
use it on the black market auction house. Why not?
I don't care for that stuff. But yeah.
Another tournament that happened was on the 25th and the 26th of June. That was the Method Mayhem EU RBG tournament. I believe it was Speedrun that won, but I forgot to write it down, and now I can't make sure. But I'm pretty sure it was. Anyways, really good tournament. If you guys want to go check that out, good old 10v10, 8 teams. Interesting format with a double ban series. Which then resulted in 3 maps. Double ban and pick. So each team was able to pick a map and ban 2. So that left 3 maps behind, and then that was the random or whatever, or maybe it went off of their average CR as a team. But either way, and seeding. But kind of fun, neat how they did it. Got to see some cool matchups. So if you want, go check that out. Hot fixes happened. Now, I'm kind of worried we're running out of time here. Obviously,
just sort of run through it.
Pardon me?
Saying we could just run through it, right? There's not much left, I think, on the dock.
Actually, I think I thought that there was a. Oh no, I know why. I linked the wrong dang hot fixes.
Oh.
I was gonna say it looked like May 27th on there.
Yeah, it did. I don't know why it did that. There's the June ones. Anyways, obviously there was a whole slew of hot fixes because it actually did some class updates too, right? So
yeah,
Guardian Druids with their Mangle and their auto attack that got boosted slightly for tanks, which I thought would affect RBGs a bit more since Guardians are the go-to flag carriers, but apparently, I guess they didn't make it that much stronger that now they're more obvious. I guess when you're already number 1, you're number 1. A couple other things. Affliction locks got a 5% increase. And then on the PvP side, Some pretty big ones. I mean, Hunters, the Craven Stratagem, got nerfed. Funny enough, right after we did a podcast with Bismex, that happened. So maybe Blizzard's
Karma.
actually listening. I don't know.
I should have not come on this podcast. Then mages do not need another nerf. We are barely hanging on by a thread. Hashtag buff mages.
Absolutely love it. Mistweavers got a buff to their healing. Now I saw a number of players mention that while thank you very much for the healing, it's not really that their healing throughput was really that lacking. It's their utility and the lack of DPS that they can't do. So I don't know if that's
I'm
gonna
gonna provide
fix it.
pushback on that. I think the buffs were good. The problem with Mistweaver is that they have to cast. They need to cast and they just get kicked and then they just die. It's rough.
That sounds valid as well. Paladins, their Templar's Vindication conduit got slightly nerfed, and Holy Priests, they got whacked pretty hard. Mana regeneration reduced to 60% by 60% instead of 55, so slight reduction there. And then the Chastise only does a 3-second incapacitate instead of a 4-second incapacitate. So not sure if that makes it that much of a difference, but I'm sure it matters. And Warlocks, again on the PvP side, they got a pretty good buff. We're starting to see them get pretty rampant again. So are we expecting to see that get nerfed again, or do you think they're going to let it be through season 4?
Who knows?
I think they'll let it be. I have a feeling they'll let it be. Warlocks they don't get nerfed unless they're Destro. Destro is already in the ground. Demos almost never get nerfed. The last time Demo got nerfed is just because their damage, the way that their damage work was so tilting to lose to, it was the Demon Bolt, that it was like outrageous. The way it did damage was essentially uncounterable. But the way that they do damage now is like relatively reasonable. It's uncounterable, but it's not obscene in the way it used to be. So it's going to be hard to make an argument. It's going to have to be really rampant for them to nerf it. I doubt it'll be nerfed.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it'll be interesting. I think that's really about the big ones. I guess with Warrior, the Conqueror's banner got reduced. The mastery granted was reduced a bit.
Stuff missing in that, by the way. Like I know the shield that Rep Paladins have got nerfed pretty large. I don't know if that's not shown in there, but I know that came in the same patch. Also, the Warrior's Crushing Blow when they're in Recklessness got nerfed. The damage of their Crushing Blow during Recklessness got nerfed by 20%, which is a massive change. Makes their Recklessness far less scary.
So I actually skipped those two.
Oh, sorry.
So no, it's good. It's good.
I was gonna say, like, those are like
That's
some of the
there.
biggest, like, of the changes. Those are like the real consequential ones that I remember.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Also, the mana thing is like a big deal because I don't know why the way it's packaged sounds weird, but basically, putting it simply, for every minute that you're in combat in a game, before the nerf, H-Priest would regen 900 mana. Now they regen 800 mana. So it looks like a 5% nerf, but it's like actually like a, what is that, roughly like a 10% nerf. A little more even.
Yeah, because that's MP5, right? Or MP per
That's
minute.
an enchant. Yeah, MP per minute. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean that's 100 mana. That's a spell a minute. So
yeah,
that adds up pretty fast. And that's when they're regenning. So that's when they're out of combat. So they have to.
No, they regen in combat as well.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm this whole like back and forth to classic is starting to get my brain. All right. A couple of last ones. Season 3 ending the week of August the 2nd. So
cool.
Yeah. Just on that
a month announcement. That's so sick. Sorry.
That was awesome. No,
I love that. I love that they did that. It's so good.
It's so much better than what was the last one? 8 days or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. It's like why?
Yeah.
Or like what they did in Legion the one time where they didn't give an announcement at all. They just shut the servers off. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was crazy.
I think that was, but I think their argument was that they'd already done enough cycles that they thought that people would just know that it was going to happen. Yeah, I don't know.
Crazy.
Anyway,
Crazy.
but yeah, 1 month, absolutely amazing that they gave that forewarn to everybody. Make sure you go and read the announcement because the bracket shuts off at like 10 p.m. Pacific the night before. That's when they snapshot the bracket for PvP. For PvE, for Mythic, it shuts off the morning of. Like when they do server resets is when they snapshot that one. So just be aware if you think that you're going to try to do like a last minute push an hour before the server shut off, good luck. The bracket's going to be turned off by then. So next one, watch the AMDI or the AWC finals and get a title. So they put out a little news announcement. You have to link your BNet to your YouTube and then spend at least 2 hours in channel watching the MDI Globals or the AWC finals, and you will get the Fearless Spectator title. Who wants to put who wants to put Fearless Spectator on top of their head? I actually kind of want to do that.
That's actually a sick title. I like that title a lot.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm going to end up watching it anyways. So I just have to make sure I use the right YouTube account that I have linked to my BNet, because that would really suck if I use the wrong one.
It would be.
Yep.
Get it on just like a random secondary account.
Yeah, that. I think that's about it for news, unless there's anything else anybody knows of. Otherwise, let's do the shout outs. Right back to you first, Dopamine, as the guest of honor. Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out?
I would like to give a big shout out to my partners in team. I don't even think I mentioned the name of our team. My team is Team Novus in the AWC.
Of course.
Team Novus, and we competed with Nozon. We love Nozon, but moving forward, it's just going to be me, Palomore, and Whaler. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish literally anything that I've been able to do today. Everything would be different. I wouldn't even probably be here. But with that said, they're great players. They're amazing people. I love them to death. You can check them out, twitch.tv/Palomore or youtube.com/Palomore. Same thing, twitch.tv/Whaler TV, WAYLOR TV, or youtube.com/Whaler. They're hilarious. They're talented. They're everything. Check them out.
That's awesome.
Nice. Wholesome.
I can't even follow that up. Jake, do you got anything to follow that up on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I want to be honest, I want to give a big shout out to Noodle DK. Thank you, buddy, for lending me your Ferrari last week. It was really helpful. You've
Thank you for saving those kids from the fire. I forgot to mention that.
The donations as well for my mother's medical bill, man, that was really appreciated, dude. Like, it's a shocking thing that that no one snatched you up yet, man. So I hope it works out. I appreciate you lending me all that thing. I mean,
also the one time he saved the Earth from an asteroid, I appreciate that, Noodle. That was really cool of you.
That was actually really cool of him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super sick.
So big shout out to him. That's that guy.
Shout out to Noodle.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess the only thing I got left to shout out is the listeners. So you guys make this happen. You're the reason why we do it, and love it. Love the comments that we see on Twitter, in the Discord, in our Twitch chat, and just everywhere else. So thank you. Dopamine. You already told us where we can find your partners. Where can we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at twitch.tv/DopamineX. Mostly in Palomore's chat because I don't stream because I live on a farm. But eventually, when I get good internet, I will stream high quality mage and other class content, pushing rank 1 AWC.
All right.
But mostly, you'll find me in chats or on twitter.com/DopamineX_, where I'll be talking about philosophy or having bad ping.
Will you philosophize about the ping that you have?
Not willingly.
Awesome. Well, thanks. And Jake, can you list off to the listeners where they can find us?
Of course. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP. or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can, of course, also join our discussions on the Warcraft Radio Discord. Also, you can visit the Warcraft Radio website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.warcraftradio.com. This new directory also has a review system, so head over there and let everyone know what you think of your favorite shows.
Indeed. And as always, links for everything we talked about are going to be in the show notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you later, guys.